Hey, so good morning, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the first alumni session of the first Creativity 2. How about that? Work in progress. It's January 29th, 2023. So we'll start with our quick check-in. I'll make some opening remarks about the path going forward and a way I think you might use the lessons in the materials. Um, and then listen to you for your works in progress and your intentions and how you're doing. And we'll just relax into this thing. So, Chun Long, you're the first on my screen there. So, why don't you give us your check-in from Calgary there?
Yeah, it's snowing outside. I feel better than ever. Just the environment I used to be. So my hometown in China is really in the northern part, even colder than Calgary. I hope.
And let me see, get that. Tom Sullivan, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. I was already out this morning. Had to run a couple errands, but it's a little bit of snow. Everything's good. Oh,
Yeah, it was 12 degrees here in Kansas City, and we're bracing for a real challenge against Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game today. We got Mahomes is hurt, Kelsey's hurt. The Cincinnati Bengals have been kryptonite against us. We've lost to them the last three times we've played them, including at home. So this is going to be a big ask, but we'll see. That's why we play the game. We're going to get after them, and the Chiefs Nation is out there already, uh, tailgating in this weather. Crazy. Kyun, how are you doing today?
Yeah, doing good, thanks. Yeah, took earlier this morning for me. Took my son to his football soccer match. He hasn't been for a while, so I've been out there, and it's always cold standing out there, even though I'm wrapped up. It I'm always shivering. So anyway, so that was kind of my day standing out there. But it's great to be out, and then good to be here. I hope.
The best soccer jacket I ever had is by Adidas. They make a stadium jacket that I have never been cold in that thing, and it goes all the way down to your knees, and it's nice and puffy and light. Man, it was a good investment. I'm just saying. Ernie,
Must
how
be
are
the
you
one
doing?
like Klopp is wearing, or
Yeah,
those managers sometimes
yeah,
you
yeah.
see. I
That's
think I
yeah,
think I need to
yeah,
invest in one of those.
yeah. I'm telling you,
Uh,
it's an amazing. And then if you're sitting down in the stadium, it's nice
Yeah,
too because it covers all your legs and
yeah.
nice and toasty. Yeah, we're getting ready to start it. 4 weeks. We got our season. Major League Soccer is getting ready to start, so I'm ready for that. Ernie, how we doing?
Good morning, everybody. Doing good. Everything's pretty good here. I'm sorry to hear you're having cold weather in your area, Ken, because I guess it's on its way to me.
Yeah, yep. Well, it's going north and east. It may miss you, but I just think the whole country is going to get this one next starting blast. Dan Blum, how we doing, sir?
Oh, very well, thanks. Well, we're having warm winter weather. This morning, I almost thought of not putting on my down coat when I went to the dog park, but I said I better put it on because I'll just be standing around there. The dogs are doing all the running. So I went and we had a good time, and I came back. And speaking of soccer jackets, that was one of my Christmas presents that I asked for and received from my older son. I have a Argentine windbreaker. It's the light blue color with some stripes on the arms and a golden blue and white flag. I guess if I'd known we were going to talk about it, I would have brought it down to show it to you in the camera. But it is not suitable even for this warm winter weather, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But perhaps in the spring it will come into its own. It's a really nice jacket, and it makes me remember. Well, I grew up for 6 years in Buenos Aires, so I have a fondness for Argentina. And in 2010, I went back with the same older son, came with me, and we went to the Boca Junior Stadium there, where to get the tour, and of course we had to go to the gift shop, and we got a couple Messi shirts. He got a really nice one, and I got the cheap one, and the cheap one was no good, so I don't have it anymore. So I'm just glad to have this windbreaker.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move us into the story circle and and then I'll make some remarks about the course going forward, and then we'll go around the horn with your works in progress, or maybe we'll start. No, I think we'll start works in progress first. No, I'll open with some remarks, and then we'll do works in progress. Kind of ease into this thing. So here we go. Yeah, so we've sort of noodled around the ideas about how to proceed going forward. Most of us have expressed an interest to maintain the momentum. There's something powerful about the weekly check-ins. It came up in a true story circle I do on Saturday morning with some folks. We just talk about life, and our themes there are just life works in progress. It's almost never about trading. It's just about works in progress. And, the subject came up, a gentleman wanted to open lines of communication with his son. He was trying to figure out how to do that. And, ironically, I said, well, if only there was a way that you could commit to a standard time each week to make a high priority opportunity space, just to talk with your son about whatever you want to talk about, whatever he wants to talk about, even if it's nothing. If there was just some way you could create a safe, trusted, truthful space, and the opportunities that would come out of that might be amazing. He said, I don't know if we could do that. And this is after him being in the true story circle every week for 18 months, and gently teasing him a little bit. Ernie witnessed that. Probably saw the irony of it. And one of the things that comes out of that session, we were talking about how to give advice or guidance or ask for help or guidance once you've sampled the true story circle. You get, and what I said I noticed was that the pure sacred space inside the story circle, we are explicitly not criticizing, critiquing, judging, advising, soliciting, or any of that stuff. We're simply committed to telling the story of what it was like, or what that story is, and releasing the story from us. And that that we're there to listen to the story, you're there to tell the story, and to listen to yourself tell the story. And then there's a real clearing effect, a cathartic effect to that. And yet at the same time, the true storytelling comes out of a tradition of almost like ancient Greek coaching, according to Socrates and Aristotle, the protreptic coaching, in which the coach or the guide or the participant, the questioner, is there not to critique, advise, or whatever, even challenge the person being coached, but is really there as a partner in the revelatory dialogue that occurs when you simply ask open-ended questions and invite the other person to think about it. And what you offer to them is usually like a surprise question or insight that causes them to kind of rapidly respond, or knee-jerk response. It's almost like a tap on your knee that makes your knee respond, and you're providing an opportunity for that person to explore an idea, but it's not proscriptive. It's not telling people what to do in that sense. And so as I think about the space in the foyer, which I think of as a workshop, the image that came to mind yesterday that really feels correct is the idea of a workshop with power tools that's very carefully marked off where individual workstations are, or where there's a power tool, there's a machine in there that's going to do some work. And that once you cross that yellow line to get in there, you better be paying attention to just that power saw or the drill press or the lathe or whatever, and not cluttered up with anything else. And when somebody's working on that stuff, you don't go into that space, start poking them or talking or monkeying around. You don't get between a craftsman and his tool and the work in progress. If you're going to watch it, you watch it from outside that, the yellow safety line. And until that thing is done, that's all that's going on. But when you're outside of that, they can ask you to look at that piece of work, and you can hold it in your hands and turn it around and describe what you see from your perspective, telling your story about that thing that they've asked you to comment on. So as I think of the workshop and how we can proceed together in collaborative learning, is that you have to be able to invite people to talk with you about the thing you're thinking about, or that you're telling the stories about, that you're working on. That's the only way to circumnavigate the elephant, is you got to put that thing up on the on the stand there, and then observe it from multiple directions with your trusted others. Not in the sense of criticizing them for what they're doing, but you're talking about the situation. And it may be that what you're doing is bringing your perspective and your stories, or what it was like to be you when you had that experience, or when you saw somebody with that experience, or you had an insight about how to think about it, and you offer that. And there's always a sense that you're putting it on the table to add to the public discussion for consideration, with no sense that you're attributing it to the person who offered the story for comment, that it's really about the story or about the situation, and putting it on the table non-critically, non-judgment. You're inviting the other person to think about it, to see if it's something that helps them or not. And what that seems to me is to resonate nicely with the principles of the sacred space. It carries it into a place where we can have discussions or observations about our own works in progress with trusted others, but without getting into the dangerous water of, hey, let me tell you what to do, or you shouldn't have done that. We got to avoid that. And I thought Van Miller said that nicely yesterday, that since he has been in the True Story Circle for a couple years now, he's always conscious of how he talks to other people about their situations. It's a very careful, gentle, humble, non-critical perspective that he finds it's almost uncomfortable for him now to try to give somebody direct advice. That the best thing that he thinks he can do is to offer his own personal story about something like that as a way of sharing the moment. So that's pretty good advice for life, I think, a nice approach. At the same time, I'm also mindful that what we're trying to do specifically in a True Story Circle and a workshop about trading is really talking about how to be better at the particular craft of trading. And so I think it's possible for us to talk to each other about skills and techniques and processes that set a boundary around the trading activity without and still respect the other boundaries that that person has offered. That we sort of restrict our comments to the to the work in progress and offer ideas, and that there is a spoken and an unspoken assumption that we're going to continue to respect the other person's sacred space, and that we're going to limit our comments to the act of trading. Any trader that had that situation, this is the kind of things that we would think about, and that none of that would be of a surprise to you guys, but I think it's we're at the point where you have to think that way in order to be a good accountability partner. I listened to the session Ernie did with Tom and Joe, and it was very clear that both of those guys had adopted that approach to each other's trading practice and personal practice, that they were there really to share insights and to get accountability and transparency, and that they were respectful of that boundary. So it's my sense that we can invite people into that workshop space to talk in that way and self-regulate, so that we're always taking the best of the True Story Circle principles, but also now applying it to the idea of a workshop with power tools and certain stations for those large, dangerous, but potentially useful machines in order to get on with our own work. So that's the mindset that I want to adopt. I'm as I practice saying it out loud, I'm thinking about how I want to put it in writing in order to govern the weekly check-in sessions. It is my intention and hope that we get a new set of folks that are taking the lessons and reporting, as you guys have done, on the step-by-step lessons in that progression, but inviting you guys to be there too, to revisit we were talking with Chun Long and I were talking how to systematically go back through those other lessons, and that's one way to do it, is to sort of work along with those guys, and be able to comment on it. And it'll be very tempting for them to ask you what to do, or you to offer, well, just do this and save yourself some grief. But how to do that in a way that is respectful of their learning space and the principles of true storytelling, and so we'll feel our way through that. I think we can do that. We'll see how that goes, and I just will need, if you're participating in those and you have insights about rules of the road or agreements that we can make that keeps us on task, then we'll do that. I think about also being in a doji when you have a beginner's class, but in that beginner's class you have everybody in the dojos in there supporting, and one of the things you do is you work with a white belt goes and grabs a black belt and I do the task, or I do the skill to you, you do it to me, we bow, move to another person, and you end up throwing each other and being thrown by everybody. So you get a chance to work with the higher belts and learn from them, and the higher belts get a chance to work with the lower belts, and so the skills are always sort of the basic ones, and it's later when it's black belts only lessons, they get into maybe the more esoteric or challenging series, but it's helpful for both sets of skill levels to work with each other periodically. So that's the idea that I have in mind. That may be a better example than the workshop, or taken together, both of those capture the essence of what I think we want to do with the next generation of Creativity 202. I want to try to start that not next weekend, but the week after that, to give me a chance to recruit a few more folks and get them organized and have a startup session with them. So it's either going to be 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now to get that thing moving. It's odd to watch myself trying to write marketing copy to encourage people to subscribe to the course, and I know it's good for them, and I know that I got to charge them money so that they have skin in the game and stay with it. and so the cross purposes in there are the tension that comes out from that is my own little cross to bear right now. How to write that in a way that is honorable and respectful. It's the same issue that I'm having in my work in progress for this week. I'll start with that, and that is a book that we're trying to write with me and my brother Bill and Phil Wu and Griff Cooper. Now, all three of those guys have been, I would almost say religiously, going through the foundations in the sniper course, and Griff did the Kata 2 challenge beautifully, where he traded one symbol every day for 6 months with one pattern at a time and got murdered in the nightly podcast for coaching, and then used that to develop his own personalized approach to Kata 2 that allows him to trade a couple symbols, 3 patterns every day. And it was so good that I had him design a course to teach that, and I'm helping him and Phil sell that. And Phil does a great job of converting workshop material and narrative like this into concise Cornell note sheets that support lessons. And so I helped those two guys set up their business, Ableway Tech, in order to sell 2 courses. One was they converted my indicators and whatnot into a complete solution for Thinkorswim, and they have a course that teaches people how to set it up and to use it and to go through the basic principles. It's like the TC2000 bundle, but it's a Thinkorswim bundle. And then Griff has and he put together an advanced systems development course, or an applied systems development course, where they take my principles of how to design a personalized system and teach that, but they also demonstrate it with Griff on how he went from the Kata 2 effort into building his own personalized system. So at the end of that, you learn a process and you get Griff's Kata 2 system. Well, I wanted to help them sell that course so that someday in my dream world I could retire and host it for them, and I could get some passive income from them, at some trivial amount. And it was combined with the idea that I knew the best thing for them to master their own system was to become a teacher of their own system, because that always happens. You learn the most about your own system when you try to teach it. Well, my brother was doing the same thing with the sniper. And so I'm trying to help those guys become businesslike in their operations to become teachers. And so we decided to sign up with this guy that helps you write a best-selling book about your expertise, Steve Gordon. And so we collected a bunch of their little pieces and tried to synthesize it and put it out there as an artifact to summarize our 40 years and 100,000 man-hours of effort. Well, those guys are optimized to write books that will sell a lot of books today to a lot of people. And not surprisingly, a lot of that sounds like standard marketing copy like, hey, we're rebel traders and we got the magic secret sauce that Wall Street doesn't want you to know about. And so some of that language has crept in from the editor because he knows that'll sell books. And there's no way I can put my name on a book like that because I'm not a rebel trader. I don't have secret sauce that Wall Street doesn't want you to know. I don't teach you things about psychology that are not in psychology books somewhere. I think what I do is offer a perspective as a craftsman, a professional, a survivor, and a teacher, and a team builder, and as a coach. That here is a way, all I think I can say is, here's our story, and here's what we do, and here's how it works, and here's what people that are doing it say. And you can learn this stuff too if you do the things that we've done. That, I think, is a proper tone. And I think that guy's going to say something like, well, that sounds like an awful lot of hard work, and what people want is the secret sauce if you want to sell books. And I got to say, no, what I want to do is write a book that describes exactly what our story is and how we do what we do as an invitation to others and an inspiration to others and a warning to others. Hey, I don't know how many different ways there are to succeed in the market. I imagine there are many, because I see a lot of people succeed. But what I do know is that this worked for us. So that's my work in progress that has really spawned out of the creativity course, if I can say it that way, because it gave me some inspiration to think about things and how to write and how to communicate, and to encourage these guys to do that work and to venture into that innovation space, to convert from lonely monk doing his thing and writing cryptic notes about his systems to more of a broader outreach with acolytes and students that have graduated and are doing their own thing. It really helped me crystallize my thinking about all of that and how to do it professionally and honorably, centered on the idea that came out of this course. It's made me realize that, look, if you claim to be a teacher, just show me your students' work. If you claim to be a coach, just show me your players. And then you don't have to sell me and market me and all that other stuff. I can figure out what you are as a teacher and as a coach by watching the way your students and players play their game, and then I can figure that out. So I'm trying to use that focusing lens on the way I'm contributing to that book. My intention is that the book is a broad introduction, not just to my work, but to their work, because they'll be featured in it with some chapters, and that book will contain the story of how they learned what it is I have to teach, how they put it into practice, and where they are, and then what they can teach, and use that sort of as a focusing lens on our community of practice. And I think that's the proper way to proceed. And I'm going to listen to what the editor says about how to fancy it up for sales and whatnot. But I think it's more important to me to preserve the integrity of the brand and to say exactly what it is we're trying to say. I can't in good faith say, hey, there's no other book that has knowledge like this. And I say, well, here's 100. Here's 100 that I know of that have commentary on those topics. I think ours will have a unique perspective on it because of the unique path that we've taken. But that's what I'm working on right now, is to try to get that project to closure, and help my brother and Phil and Griff think about what the brand is and what it means and their space in it. I'm not forcing them to do it that way, but I am, I guess, kind of forcing them to do it that way. If they want to leverage me, then that's what they're going to have to do, and learn to adopt that mentality, because I think it's good for them. So that's kind of my work in progress. and trying to shape the courses at a fair market price for folks that encounter it however they encounter my work, and trying to get a onboarding pathway that is correct for people to help them learn in a way that's useful, and yet is also self-sufficient from a business perspective. Because if it has value, then it creates value, and value has to be respected with an exchange. And so I'm navigating my way through that new space. And I'm doing that also with the Tharp Institute, too, as I'm trying to continue to be a good partner with them and to support them in their mission to keep Van's work alive. I think it's important to do that. So that's kind of where I am right now. In the creativity course for me has been very transformational. Like when I think back to where I started with this and us in June, I was much more focused on the technical delivery of each little lesson, and did I get the experiential learning exercise correct for that lesson? Does it match up with Fletcher? What was Fletcher's lesson really about? And then do it myself and take my notes. And can I be a good facilitator for you guys in the room and do it in a true storytelling way? And then that, the ideas sort of take you over if you're doing that you end up getting swept along by that river. You know, your stream has joined the river, and you're part of that, and so you get carried along. And it's been a very enjoyable and educational journey for me, and it truly has been innovative in the sense that you know, a lot of the work I've done with my brother and Phil and Griff and you guys, and Glenn Osborne and Tom Hardison and their coaching efforts, and you know, I think improving my relationship with the Tharp Institute. This has been a very clarifying project for me. It has been well worth my time and effort, and just hanging out with, even if I didn't do any of that stuff, hanging out with you guys has been good for me. It's really helped. It's helped me sharpen my thinking on psychology and trading and systems and teaching, and true storytelling too. So I just want to express my gratitude to you guys for having the trust to play along and to be as open and contributing as you have been. So that's everything I wanted to say about that. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you guys, and in my view, you've graduated that course and are invited back for as long as you want to stay and participate, and as my guest, because of what I know you'll add to the course as a living example. That's where the value exchange to me would come from, is that you're working hard and being good examples for others, and that you pay it forward with them through your proper offers of help and through story exchange and insights and sharing your stories. That's would be my position. So as a, you know, let me explicitly say, you don't owe me any money for if you keep going. Just your participation is the value that I am hoping to get for your continued effort. The other courses are the other courses, but your work in Creativity 202 to me is really, you know, the cost of it to you is your service to yourself and others. Is you know, that's your skin in the game, is because I know that you will do that, and if that's how you get skin in the game to keep doing that as service to others, then we've all achieved an important lesson learned. So that's what I want to say about that. I'm going to hit the tones and then offer up the talking stick, and then after you guys have your chance, you know, we can talk about. I have some ideas about how to proceed technically with the course, ways we might do it, but we'll talk about that after your work in progress. So, Aho. Work in progress, Chun-Long.
Yeah, before I report my work in progress, I just want to make some quick comment about what you said, Ken. For the course, the lessons, for me, the best part to do is just to report the work in progress. If anybody asks for suggestion, that's the only one I will give.
Is to record it or not? You say not
To
record?
report my
Oh,
work in
yeah,
progress.
Yeah. To report.
About the book, I think whatever else in the book, I don't know. The one part should be in the book is the position size R, risks R, versus the execution size R. The reason is it's taken me a couple of years to understand that. So I heard you talk about that. It's really difficult for me to understand what is the difference between the two. Yeah. That's really something helped me, you know, to understand your trading style. if we see Dr. Wansap make a revolutionary, effort about the position size,
Yep.
there's another one, execution R versus the position size R. That's my 2 comments, 2 cents. Move on. So my word of last week is a frog. I just like a frog, interesting animal. I like the Zen story about the frog. Now, if you watch the frog, he just sit, and just sit. And then, he make a move, snap whatever fly by, and then sit and just sit. That's why I chose the word frog, the little animal. My work in progress. So last week, I tried to do the swing trading with intraday monitoring, right? So previously, I learned the technique, set the order, the market open order, right? Whatever the auction result is, my order will be that price. So whatever it is, sometimes give me a better price. Sometimes, give me a worse price. So last week I did that, then monitor the price movement intraday. So what I realized, it's really difficult to trade in the sideways market, like right now. The market in a critical state, I get order price. That may be worse, maybe better. But, the one lesson I have to, practice is how to cut my loss short and give the trader opportunity to win big. So intraday management is really important for me for today's market. The other lesson I talked about last week, how to do the stop and reverse. There's a one trading, the ticker symbol is a SNOW, S-N-O-W. There's a setup for short, but right after I entered the trade, that stock reversed to the uptrend. Keeping to do that, I still stay with my short position. Just didn't accept the trend reversed. Take me a couple trade to reverse that, to reverse my short position, then make money. That's a big lesson for me. So last week, when I monitor my swing trading position with intraday price movement, I feel better now compared to the week before. So previously, that's just my psychology. The losses means I'm defeated. Then I have to recover from the defeated position. So last week I feel much better about that. So I didn't have a big negative emotion come out from my losing positions. That's my trading last week. I didn't do any live trade. All those are paper trading. So thought about today's lesson, about the 10 messages. Actually, I read that a couple of weeks ago. I just check what is new. So Ken posted a summary of Mastery, a book by George Leonard. I always check, the lessons, what's new there. So I found that, I read it, I did some notes about that. I think that's a really useful reflection on what I have learned for the past 30 weeks. I believe it's more than 30 weeks. So I will read some quote from that summary. Then I talk about my reflections. Quote, all significant learning is composed of brief spurts of progress, followed by a long period of work where it feels as if you are stuck on a plateau. End of quote. So my reflection on that. So yes, I did make those spurts. So those spurts are my mini campaigns I did. I learned a lot very quick. Now it's really exactly what I'm feeling. I'm stuck. My trading have made no progress. That's really my feeling. Then I think about my life experience. My really big progress from choosing to be on a new plateau. That plateau can take 5 to 10 years to make another dramatic changes. If I didn't choose to be in the new plateau, I wouldn't be here today. So like, I born in a small village. My parents were farm workers. If I choose to stay there, not choose to be in a new plateau, I would be a farmer worker today. I wouldn't be here in Canada, wouldn't be in this group, in this lesson. So that's my aha from that quote. So the next one quote, as we practice things, even though it feels like we are making no progress at all, we are turning new behaviors into habits. Learning is happening all along. End of quote. So that quote makes me feel much, much better. Yes, I feel stuck. But when I read that, I know I had to make some progress. Learning is happening all along. So what I learned is this. Previously, I don't want to think about my trade because I lost money. Right now, I have the courage to look at the chart afterwards, what I did right, what I did wrong. The next one is, previously I was often to jump into a new idea, just trade it with real money. Right now, I understand, I can feel, I have to feel by design. The next quote, in the long run, the war against mastery, the path to patient, dedicated effort without attachment to immediate result is a war that can be won. That gave me an end of quote. That quote gave me confidence. The war can be won. No attachment to immediate result. That's something I have to do. I have to face pressure from environment. If there are no results, especially the result measured by money, right? That's why we trade. If we have no attachment to immediate result, that means that there are no immediate result. I have to face pressure from our environment, from family, from friends, from co-workers, from those no-seers. You know, I don't want to hear from somebody say, "Hey, I know you won't succeed." That some people may not say directly, they will express that implied by some behavior, by some words, right? Now I feel much better. I can face that. I do care, but I don't care. So that comes to the next code. Reward will always come to someone who commit to the practice, but the reward are not the goal. The practice is the goal. This is a mentality change, right? The reward for trading is money. No, that's not my goal. My goal is the practice to be a trader. The next code, mastery is staying on the path. End of code. That's simple. That's a simply truth, and keep going. Next code. To move in one direction, you must forego all others. To pursue one goal is to forsake a very large number of other possible goals. End of code. Very true. That's our path. The path may lead to nowhere if we only think about money, but the path will be success if the path itself, if the practice our goal. Next code. If you want to truly master something, you must be willing to remain a beginner and look a fool. The beginner's mind is required for learning anything new. End of code. So my favorite book is the book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. A really good book. I really like it. The beginner's mind for me is this. I don't know. That's no knowing mind. Simply no mind. The worst mind is the expert mind. I knew it. Worse further is I knew it will fail. That's my reflection on those codes from the summary. About the myth of creativity. So is this code from the lesson code. The definition of a innovation is simply something new that works. That really helpful. You know, I was a super trader in a super trader workshop. The innovation lesson, you know, Dr. Van Sapp talk about Disney, talk about Tesla, right? That's genius. You know, that's something we cannot achieve. Maybe I'll put this way. I don't think I can achieve that level of genius. But what is creativity? What is innovation? Code. The definition of a innovation is simply something new that works. That is a big relief for me. That is a big operation of creativity to do. I know of that. So creative action for next week for me, I need to make the chart fuzzy. I used to read the chart bar by bar, see the action. You know, when I look at my mistakes in intraday trading, you know, I see the bar, I see the action move up and down, but I lost the context. So when I zoom in too much, I lost the context. What I need to do is zoom out to see the big picture, to see the patterns. If I really zoom in to see the bar action, I cannot see the pattern. I cannot see the collapsing dragon, cannot see the emerging dragon. I cannot see, kata 2. So only if I zoom out, make the chart price fuzzy, and then I see the big picture. I see the pattern. That's it. I hope.
Ken,
Yeah, I might need to check out a bit early, so I thought I'll go now. But anyway, hi everyone. So let's recap with the one word. So my one word was regroup, and really I was just kind of playing with this the re prefix, the re word, which can mean re something, regroup, do again, like again, the meaning of again, look at again, or a fresh look, or it can mean regarding something, right? So it's either regroup to group again, or about this group, if you like. So just playing with that didn't really bubble up that meaningfully last week. And other words that I considered was actually reimagine. Actually, that was the first word that came, but I have a feeling that came out of some photo art exhibition that either I was in or that I've seen, so I didn't want to use that. Other words are like reignite. I think last week lesson was about ignite, and I think Ernie talked about ignition or something like that. So, or ignite. So, and I also had onwards, which turned out to be Sunal's word, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, I didn't use it. On this week's topic, so yes, the myth of creativity. So very, very short one there, which was quite interesting. Set of a train of thought, and I noted it down. So I'll just read it. It was so I started thinking. Or before that, let me just find the sentence. Oh, it's a scientific process built into the structure of the animal neuron. And then the last one, last sentence, which is why you can methodically practice creativity and see consistent practical gain. So I started kind of reflecting on this, and some of my thoughts went something like, oh, but if to be a painter, you must have the skill or talent to start off with, although you can, kind of practice the creativity and learn and practice the craft, but you do need at the base of it some talent, or do you? Even if you don't have the born ability, I suppose if you want to draw or paint, or like in figure drawing, you can there are techniques to teach you to start with shapes, right, for the head and proportion and squares, and then you can start from that. So I suppose you can learn from that. Anyway, these are just like going down the a rabbit hole again for me, and I decided I better just go and find out what is creativity and what is innovation, as Chen Long had done. After 30 weeks, I thought probably a bit late to kind of look at a definition, but I thought it was quite important. What am I thinking about when we say creativity? And if I can just go on a tangent a little bit again, I started thinking, so I Googled it, and of course I found an answer. But just thinking about, I think, was it Chandong again who said something about Chat GPT and AI a few weeks ago or last week? And I started thinking, well, maybe I should have just put that, if I had access to this program, I would have just put in this question, what is creativity and innovation? And it would give me an essay. And actually in another group that I'm in, somebody put in the question, why is the silver price so low? And I got an essay out of it, right? But probably nothing that meaningful. So it's kind of interesting what kind of world we'll be in when students can ask the question and get Chat GPI to write their essays for them. But I suppose, there's knowledge acquisition in the past. Knowledge is power, right? We've already kind of gone past that a little bit with Google, because you can search for anything and have the answers at your fingertips and gain the knowledge at your fingertips. So we're moving on to some other world that we don't know about. And that kind of reminded me of, I think we had one of the lessons. It must be one of the lessons in creativity 202, but the one that comes to mind is the Ho Chi Minh Trail lesson. How maybe we need to adapt dynamically to the environment. I think that's that lesson. Kind of interesting new world that we're gonna go in. But anyway, sorry, another digression. But I found this article, and I just kind of goodness knows it could have been written by ChatGPT for all I know. But yeah, some of the things that kind of jumped out at me, and I'll just kind of share with you what I noted down. So what is creativity and innovation? So according to dictionary.com, it's the ability to produce original and unusual ideas or to make something new or imaginative. So with that base, this article that I saw, they said it's transforming your ideas, imagination, and dreams into reality, and see the hidden patterns, make connections between things that aren't normally related, and come up with new ideas. So that's the kind of definition. And then it goes on to talk, mentions okay, I'm gonna have trouble pronouncing this person's name, but Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who talks about flow. I think yeah, he has a TED talk about creative process and flow, so I guess he's quite well known. Yeah, so talking about him, and flow, I guess is kind of interesting for me, because that's that for me is something that I like to be in. When you're in the flow, you're kind of, maybe even it's the zero state or similar to it when you're doing something. So he says when you're completely engaged with creating something new, such as writing music, etc., you don't even pay attention to how your body feels or any problems you may be having at home. Apparently his TED talk is also known as the secret to happiness. So there you go. So is creative thinking learned or natural? So, and this article says human beings are born creative and then taught to be uncreative as they grow older, which is kind of amazing assertion. It says that research proves that non-creative behavior is learned over time. So we've all been taught to be, or we've learned to be uncreative over time. And someone did a creativity test on young children, 1,600 5-year-olds. I don't know how he tested it, but anyway, the finding was that the 98% of those 1,600, 98% were considered creative geniuses according to this test. And then he gave the same test to 280,000 adults, and only 2% were creative geniuses. So wow, that's quite well, okay, the sample size are different, but it seems quite a big drop. But the good news is if you consider yourself uncreative as an adult, you can reteach yourself to have a whole new mind and get into the habit of practicing creativity and innovation once again. I think that goes back to what this course is about, creativity too, in that it can be taught and it can be learned. And yeah, who is creative? He says, if you dabble in painting, you are no less creative than the person who makes it, his or her entire career. So that's kind of interesting. So different way to define creativity. And apparently it's making a comeback amongst millennials these days. So yeah, and I thought that was interesting. I wonder if that had something to do with the the force turning and different generations. So finally, creative people possess certain traits or skills, according to this article, and so creative people are always asking questions. They're coming up with creative solutions to a problem, and they exhibit playfulness, and they also have, I think this is more towards the artist side, is they have heightened emotional sensitivity, are usually seen as non-conforming, and are not afraid to be seen as different or exhibiting unusual thoughts. So yeah, that's my run through and what this week's lesson triggered off. Aho.
Yeah, his name is, you can't spell it, but his name is pronounced Csikszentmihalyi. 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 And I couldn't spell it to save my life.
Yeah, okay.
Dan.
So we're doing one combined check-in and work in progress. We're not doing a second round. It's all just one. Okay, good. So yeah, just before I get into my work in progress, I want to react to a few things that relate to my work in progress throughout life and trading, I guess. One is the question of books. I'm not sure if I mentioned on any previous call that I wrote a book called Rational Cybersecurity for Business in 2019 and 2020. And that was actually my third book in life. And I decided to open source it, and it got 100,000 downloads so far, but it didn't get me much business in security consulting for some reason. But I still think it was a good book. And while I was thinking about how to write it and what I should write, I signed up for a $900 online course called the Bestseller Blueprint. And when Ken, you said it was that you were working with Steve Nelson, I thought, oh, was that the Steve that did the?
It might have been
No,
Steve
no,
Gordon.
yours was
Maybe
Steve
Nelson.
Gordon. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but my Steve was Steve Harrison, and he was working with Jack Canfield, and it was a very similar experience to yours. It's very heavy marketing. In fact, Jack Canfield talked about in the various videos about how he made Chicken Soup from the Soul into a great bestseller. And at one point he was like buying some of his own books, where he could get them on discount at a strategic point in the process so that it would get listed as a bestseller, so that you create the momentum. And my whole experience marketing the book, which I did, a lot of podcasts and stuff. Unfortunately, it came out in the middle of the pandemic, so I could never do a proper book tour, being paid to go to cybersecurity conferences all around the world like I dreamed of doing. But I loved writing that book for its own sake. And I'm just saying all this, I'm just really excited that you guys are writing that book. And if there's anything I can do, as an outliner, as an editor, as someone that's had some experience with this kind of thing, I'd be happy to help out. So next topic, sons and weekly meetings. You were talking about how you had a friend with a son who he wanted to have more connection with. And I mentioned my son that got me the soccer, the Argentine team windbreaker. I have a very good connection to him. He lives just 20 miles or 10 miles down the road in DC. You know what? But I can't have enough of a connection with him. He was my first baby. I can still remember holding him in my arms, and holding the bottle for him because he had to go to the nursery. And so I got to feed him the first few times. And wow, I hadn't even thought I'd be a father, until my wife told me. And now I've got my boy in my arms here and I'm discovering what it is. And it was amazing. And I just can't get enough connection with him. And of course, he's got his own life and he's busy. And I don't get to see him every week, unfortunately. So maybe a weekly call would be good. And that was a good insight. Kyung was talking about creativity. What really resonates about this course for me is, among other things, just the title, just the focus, it being about creativity. I guess I've always been a creative guy in a way, and valued, creativity and learning a lot. A couple years ago, during our annual camping retreat to Camp Calumet by Lake Ossipee in New Hampshire, I was sitting by the beach there talking with one of the campsite neighbors, Gary, who I had been thinking, at that time, what will it be like to retire? How can I do it right or whatever? And I knew he'd retired. So I asked him, what was it like to be retire? And he says, well, I started out just doing a lot of camping and boating and hiking, like I'd planned to do. And that was great. But I discovered I needed a challenge. So I signed up for a master's degree program at Wesleyan. And, they let you kind of design your own program. And mine was on creativity. And I thought, isn't that really cool that he did that? And maybe I should do something like that. Well, for me, the creativity thing has kind of been this super trader program and now this creativity 2 course. And I guess I had to pay a lot of money for the super trader program, maybe on the order of what he paid Wesley, and I don't know so far. But I really like the idea of just pursuing my own course of study, which I can do in a way through these programs. And it's not just about the money, but it's also about the freedom to study what you want to study. And it's a great thing to do. And well, I'm not retired entirely. I'm pre-retired in pre-retirement. And pre-retirement just means that I don't do marketing. I'll take a little cybersecurity consulting work if I can get it, but I don't need it. So my real focus, what I spend the vast bulk of my working hours on is, of course, trading and investing. And in trading, Shung Wang was talking about challenges, of course, and we all have challenges. And sometimes we feel like we're struggling. In fact, one of the tasks of trading that we learned from Van Tharp, 12 tasks of trading, one of them is the daily debriefing, in which you write about your mistakes. But I don't know where I got this. Maybe it was on the Super Trader accountability call yesterday that Louise does, or maybe it was somewhere else recently. The idea that the daily debriefing should also capture not just your mistakes, but also what you did well. that's kind of in the spirit of, I think we had one of the creativity lessons, or maybe I got this somewhere else, that an athlete rehearsing the game tape or watching the game tape shouldn't watch the tapes of his mistakes, where he fumbled the ball or dropped the ball, but should watch the tape of his best runs, his best catches, his best throws or moves or whatever. And I thought that maybe might make sense for us. And in that sense, my work in progress for trading and investing, back last fall when I was taking the Peak 202 course again, which I got to take those courses again with the Super Trader program, one of the things you do is your reinvention game. And so I decided, well, it can be anything I want. So what it's going to be is I'm going to be trading RLCO systems in production in January 1, which is now 29 days ago. And so what that turned out to be was I was doing all my trades for actual dollars. And I started at 1 share, and I guess that was last year. I was doing 1 share, and now I'm up to $20 for the swing trading and the intraday trading, and then with the ETF2, $100, and with Reed's BB gun system that I had previously been working with, $50. So those are my R's. And then my old system that I had before that made me so much money during the bull market, that's a few thousand, for R. So it's kind of there's varying R degrees of production, but I still call it production in some sense. And I'm improving it. We just had a very good coaching session last night, Ken. I really appreciate that. I'll come back to that in the rest of my work in progress, because I want to talk about lesson 27. I think I understand this remaining half or part of the creativity course being about kind of self-guided going through the lessons. And lesson 27, and in fact, I missed lesson 27. So I do lesson 27 this week. And then in future weeks, I'll just go look at either myths or other lessons I haven't done yet, or maybe go back to some of the ones that I felt like I didn't really, get deep enough into it. And there's plenty of those. There's just a whole wealth of things here to work with. So on the lesson 27, real fast, that one is about, there's Da Vinci's helicopter didn't fly, but then Sikorsky got one flying in 1939, and he had to try a bunch of things. And over the years, people tried a lot of things to get the helicopter to work. You got to fast test multiple ideas because some of them will succeed in different ways, but they will all fail in the same ways. So you can look forward, what's pragmatic, what kind of success could I get now? How do I avoid the pitfalls? I looked at, exercise 1 here, return to the list from module 26, exercise 2, which I had done. I decided to test the ETF2 system as is. So I guess that was last month, and I'd already been testing it, and I just continued testing it. As I mentioned, $50 R's. That's been in the fourth quarter. I think it lost $138, but so far in the first quarter this year, I'm up $130. So I'm kind of breaking even, and I'm also tracking those 10% trailing stops moving up behind price. and I'm only risking 131. So I'm either going to lose another $130 or I'm going to gain another $130, depending on what happens in the coming weeks. But I feel like I understand the system and I have a way of using it. And I like that. I think of ETF2 as a kind of swing trading because by the nature of it, those trades don't stay, around forever. You're probably not going to get long-term capital gains out of those. I also want to try to test the channeling and overreaction ETF systems, which are sort of have the similar attributes of swing trading style. I don't know how to test them yet. One of my big limitations is that I don't have the skill and knowledge to back test on TradeStation or anything else programmatically. So one of my goals is to learn how to do that. I got a 528-page book from someone named Browder on how to do that. Started reading it, couldn't figure out how to get anything running. So now I'm going to figure out how to run some easy language and how to do back testing so that I can back test some of these things for myself. The other thing here we had in exercise 27 or lesson 27 was exercise 2. And well, I haven't any battlefield experience, fortunately, but on the trading battlefield, I'm thinking of testing 3 different exit strategies for intraday and swing testing. Aggressive trailing stops using the 2-bar low, the low lose plus dinner for 2. Less aggressive or relaxed trailing stops, just trailing the PSAR, trust the PSAR, and then maybe a hybrid where we do the PSAR trailing with 1 aggressive raise to get you up to no lose for dinner plus dinner for 2. But you do that when you have a swing low pivot up there, or maybe you have an R or 2 gain to work with already, or maybe just you think the market and the sector are taking a turn for the worse in whatever direction worse means. And then I think you would have to be really well clear on what worse means, because things always look worse, have to define that pretty well, because otherwise you're just going to be over tightening your stop all the time and losing your chance. I noticed in that, and this is testing that I've been doing, and it certainly has been rapid testing, and I'm certainly learning from failure as I go, that these trades, these exit strategies seem to apply differently to intraday trading than they do to swing trading, which is really what I'm after. Although I can use the intraday trading for turbo purposes, they apply differently. The strategies do. And I think for the intraday trading, that's when you want the more aggressive trailing stops. And for the swing trading, you want the more relaxed or conservative trailing stops. So that, I think there was something about limits and strengths. Here, I haven't been able to explore that idea any further. That is the best I can do with lesson 27 at this point. Aho.
Ernie.
Well, thank you guys for all of your insights. I really benefit so much from that. It's one of the things that
Sorry about that. That hasn't happened before.
Well, I wanted to share one of my experiences that I've had for the past month. I was working on taxes, trying to get organized for that. I've really enjoyed getting back into Microsoft Excel, and I'm using the Edge Rater program for some back testing. So I really wanted to get into the Excel and learn how to use that. So I was setting up some of my income tax preparation and doing some spreadsheets. And I bought a new computer last year, and so I also bought the new office for that. So I felt that I had the new editions of everything, and I'm in good shape. So I've been working on this spreadsheet for I guess a month now, and I thought it was going to take me about 4 hours. That's what I thought I could do this thing pretty quick, but I got stuck on a lookup function, and so my word for the week, or I'm going to make it my word for the month, is stupid, because one of the things that I did, thinking that I have the latest version, and the lookup function that I'm trying to use was the X lookup function, which is something that they just came out with kind of in the last year or so. So, and I'm thinking I'm using the latest version. So I'm really, one of the things that I've really learned from Ken is plan, prepare, execute, and assess. I don't really plan and prepare. I go straight for execute. And so that's my problem with using this command, or this lookup function. And it takes me about 2 weeks before I realize that I don't have that function in my Excel, because the Excel thing that I bought was from, I think is a 2019 version, before they came up with XLOOKUP and put it into their product. So I can't tell you the frustration that is trying to make something work that doesn't even exist, because I'm not even bothering with setting up. One of the things that I did when I was working for a living and doing spreadsheets was always to plan out what you're going to do. You know, what's the final product going to be? What do you have? What do you need? And what are the steps that you're going to take to do this? So I always did that. But for some reason, I didn't want to do it this time. I thought this was going to be pretty easy. And but one of the other problems that I had in doing this is that trying to figure out how to make this thing work when it's not going to work. I'm going back over videos and going through some of the books that I had, and I'm coming across things that I had seen before, and now I have this renewed interest, you know, because I'm looking at it after 10 years, you know, and finding out all the new things that are in there. And so these discoveries are happening. And then one of the dumb things that I came across was ChatGPT. So I lost about 2 or 3 days there, because now I'm exploring that, and it's taking me away from what my original goal was. And so then I have to tell myself, look, if I'm trying to do something for income taxes, I've only got another couple of months here, and I've already 1 month. So yeah, so I'm pretty stupid, but I've been enjoying my stupidity because I'm going in all these different directions and learning a lot, and I'm having fun, to be honest with you, because making these discoveries is kind of neat. And plus I'm doing it from the perspective that I don't have to do it anymore. I'm retired, you know, so it's not so critical, and I'm taking a more relaxed approach to everything. And I'm also having fun with it. There's no deadline, well, April 15th, but I don't really have the deadlines that I used to have earlier. And so things are a lot more fun, but I'm still stupid sometimes. And so I don't want to forget that. But one of the things in my, so I share that with you just to let you know that I'm human. And you guys already realize that from some of my past presentations anyway. The thing that I'm getting out, or my plan, is continuing with my PSAR approach. I really like that. for some reason that has resonated with me over the past few months in my trading, and I've really wanted to pursue that. Jeff Boccaccio and Bill Scheit had their lesson on PSAR with cryptocurrencies. I don't really have that much of an interest in cryptos, but I was curious about their approach using the PSAR, and I like it, and it's really been fun. I've been paper trading it. I use the accelerator to back trade it. I don't get outstanding results because I haven't really learned it that well. So my feeling, or my belief, I guess, that I'm acting on is that using that dinner, no lose plus dinner for two, getting to that point and making that a priority is something that really adds benefit to my approach using the PSAR. And that's something that I can't program into. I don't have that much experience with EdgeRater, and so I have to do that. I'm going back to that and seeing what would happen if I went to locked in a profit using no lose. So, and that's really made a difference, and I can really see that. EdgeRater has helped me come up with the points where the PSAR crosses and flips, and so I'm able to go over the past year and then find there's been about, I would say, 7 to 15 points where the PSAR will flip. So I go back to those 15 points in time and find out where I would have gotten to no lose, and then so I can preserve that. So what appears to be a loss when I back test it, really is a small gain, and so that really makes a difference. So, and my plan for the year is to have more faith in what Ken is doing. Whenever I was in the hospital for my back surgery, one of the things that I would do, there was a point where at first, when I realized the thing was a little more serious than I thought it was, and when I went into the hospital, I expected to go home and in 5 days or so, and wound up being in the hospital for 5 weeks and not being able to walk for a while. So, and that kind of depressed me a little bit. And for a brief period of time, I guess I wasn't focused properly. But I finally, once I realized that I had come down so far, I knew I had to fight to get back up. And so what I did was taking a look at the other people that were in the hospital wing that I was in. And so I would roll around in my chair, and the first thing was just to smile at people and acknowledge their presence and that we're all in this together. And then then you talk to them after a while. You ask them how they're doing. You don't want to interfere with the therapy that they're going through, but when they're resting or whatever, and you're resting together, just striking up a conversation and then talking to them. And there was one man that was there. I talked to him, and so I didn't like being in the hospital room, and so every chance I got into the wheelchair and was just rolling around and trying to stay active and just, I don't want to say enjoy it, but making the best of a bad situation. So one man was there, and late at night, I'm rolling by his room saying hi to people, and it always surprises them, and it's a neat experience. And but I talked to him, and he was really down. And the thing that he didn't like the therapy that he was going through. He didn't like the people that he was working with. And it really wasn't that he didn't like them. He just didn't like the situation that he was in, and I was relating to that. And so we just talked about that. And then we talked about his therapy. And he didn't like what they were doing. He didn't like the plan that they had. And I just said the feeling that my approach, I couldn't help him, but I could tell him that I certainly had the same experience and the same feeling, that I didn't like the situation that I'm in. And did like the people though. And I didn't like the therapy that I had to go through. But I told him the thing that I felt that I had to do was to have faith in what was going on, that these people had gone through school. They had been trained on how to do physical therapy. I didn't know how to do physical therapy. And so my feeling was that I didn't like what they were doing, but I had to have faith in what they were telling me needed to be done, even though they weren't in the same situation that I was in. And so, I mean, that's what I offered to him, and to say that this was my experience with this was my approach that I was going to use to the experience that I was in. And that, so we had talked about that, and I don't know if it helped him a little bit, but it really helped me to remind, there are times where I have to have faith and to let my resistance go and to fight that resistance. And so I've taken that approach with Ken. I have to have faith in what he's saying. He's been through this all through the years, and I've been part of the program for a few years now, and that's what I'm finding. That faith has been rewarded, and it's certainly been rewarded in my therapy. I'm starting to walk more without the walker and doing much better. And I can see a point in time where I'm going to get back to where I want to, or get to the point where I want to be. And I'm seeing that with the program that I'm going through with Ken and this stuff, and having that faith that he has been through this, and he has been training to help us, and it's neat to see that faith being rewarded, and I have certainly experienced that. And my current thing that I'm enjoying that Ken is doing is that he's added this his swing trading. They're concentrating on the swing trading approach in the nightly podcasts. I'm enjoying that quite a bit because it's what I'm trying to do. So now I'm trying to anticipate what he's going to do, and since I'm concentrating on the PSAR, whenever he's sliding it across and exposing what is happening in the swing trade, I'm watching the PSAR and say, "Oh, watch that PSAR! You got out too soon because the PSAR didn't flip, or it did flip." So. And he's approaching it from one aspect, and I'm approaching it from a different one. And so I'm enjoying that. It's been fun to see that, and to see that, oops, I was wrong, and Ken was right about this. And, but I'm really getting an awful lot out of that. So the creativity course has been an amazing experience for me because all of you have been brought into that. And, it's fun watching TV shows, the stories that are exposed on that, but that's been fabricated, and that's we're not watching real life. James Bond is going to win. We know that somebody's controlling what I'm watching on TV, and this is I love the true storytelling aspect of this, because this isn't a TV show. This isn't a book that's been written. This is real life, and it's an amazing experience to be a part of that. And so I'm seeing the story, but it's a real story. And not only that, but being with you guys, I'm a part of that story that you're telling. And so I'm getting the experience, and you're learning from it. And I get to experience that too, whenever you're sharing your investing approaches and the things that you're doing in your investing life. And that's amazing. I may not agree, I may not understand, but I get to be a part of it. And so it's to me, the creativity course and trying to learn how to invest. I really love this approach because I feel like I'm immersed in the learning process, and I learn so much more. I know others of you have shared that, boy, some of the things that we're learning about investing applies to real life. and it certainly does. And seeing that and experiencing that has been a wonderful experience. So as always, I know I say thank you quite a bit, but I feel like I need to say thank you just about every time. Is to me, you know, I've been married for over 50 years, and one of the things that my wife and I can't do enough is to tell each other that we love each other. And so I feel like I always have to tell you guys thank you, because you guys doing a great, you do an amazing job. You have amazing experiences and you share it. And so I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate being part of that. So thank you, and I hope.
Tom.
My word from last week was coyote, and when I think about it, I picked coyote because Chun Long picked frog. So then during the week I had to think about, well, that wasn't really smart. So, but what do coyotes do? They're out really, they're looking for something moving. They're hunting. So be a hunter. That's gonna be why I said I took coyote. So hunt for the mover and be part of a team. So yeah, when I first started creativity, I think it was about improving my trading, and not only improving but finding a good exits. But over this long period of time, it took more direction. It evolved into like even really learning Ken's system and understanding it. And when I tried to trade it a number of times, I just was too impulsive. I would get out too early, get in too early. And so I had to just back off. And as we went through the lessons, I realized that I needed, I was just learning to slow down. So it became a more like a psychological lesson. And like Van used to say, you know, trading is about psychology. And so sticking to the course, I started working a lot on myself and learning a lot about me and applying a lot of lessons to everyday life. So one of the things about trading is you become a better person too, which helps a lot during this process. As I went over the myths about creativity, and I think one of the first ones that really struck was it's a scientific process driven by natural selection, which is why you can methodically, you're either creative or you're not. And I always thought, like on my wife's side, there's professional photographers, and she's a cake decorator, and I was always like, God, they're creative. And I never pictured myself as a creative person, more like a logical thinker, do things, just use logic. I put myself in a structured life, you know, like a truck driver, just a steady job, and that was it. And I found it interesting when Kyun mentioned that everybody is born creative, which I have heard that before. But then when he said non-creativity is learned, and you think about how they structure the school system and like my 8 to 5 job. So it's like go 8 to 5, get paid for your hours of work, and go home and take a nap or go to sleep, do whatever, and then come back the next day. And I'm like, that's so true. So another lesson learned for today. One of the things, I mean, I could go through all 10 myths of creativity, like relaxing. And creativity comes from relaxing and chilling out. And it's kind of true, because you don't want to be stressed out. But at the same time, I mean, it's good for starting. But then as we learn throughout the lessons, you create a little more, I don't know if I should call it stress or not, but you create a little stress so that you could build into becoming more creative, which is a way to develop your creativity and get better at it. So it's a practiced art. Yeah, so you put in some tension is a better word than stress, because stress creates a fear. So I think you put more tension involved to create, develop the creativity. So yeah, as a logical thinker, I mean, I listened to Tim Ferriss's interview with Ed Thorpe. And I heard Ed Thorpe years ago. I read his book, Beating the Dealer. And as I listened to a lot, I listened to the whole interview, and I think I got to one part. He went away from trading and started talking about other things, and I really disagreed at some point, and I was about to turn it off, but I said, that isn't right. I said, you got to sit and listen to the whole interview, and rather than be judgmental about it. So I wanted to take that aspect of, I looked at inward and realized I'm judging something. So, and I did listen to the rest of the interview, and then I thought about it. I was like, he seemed like almost like a logical thinker. I mean, but then he has creative sides to his trading which helped him be quite successful. But one of the things I also thought about was the book was called Outliers, and it goes into like the time people are born in certain time frames, and they got a better opportunity to really do really great at the in the aspect of, like for Ed, it was like in making a lot of money trading or creating his firm. And I think he talked about warrants, and I think the warrants and then really the options really exploded like after the 70s, which was really a great opportunity for him to make a lot of money. And that was he did mention also Warren Buffett starting his own firm, and the time frame in which he really bought some Berkshire shares, which it was early enough during Warren's time to make a lot of money, just buy and hold, which he did. So I really enjoyed that and learned a lot about myself and where I really need to go into trading. And I really, when Ernie said, planning, plan, prepare, execute, assess. When my job, I really backed off and decided that I wanted to learn Ken's system a lot better, and I need to plan my trading strategy, so I know what I'm doing. Not in the trade, but to be successful and to build up into a good system for me to work. Like, I tried day trading when I just don't have the time at work to do something like that. So I backed off. And what I'll do, I'll find some time in a day, like about 8:30 in the morning. I realized I had a little opportunity to do some hybrid trading. So I'll watch and I'll get in it after 3 minutes if the opportunity is there, rather than be impulsive and force myself into different times in a day and things I can't do. But I'll trade. I might have like 15-20 minutes and develop a trade. And if it's working out, I'll put on a trailing stop if it's still working good, or I'll just close it out if it doesn't work. So I've done it a couple of times during the last couple of weeks, and it worked good. I mean, and I didn't feel stressed about it. And I get to a point where, well, if I got to go do some driving and deliveries, then I can't trade. And because one of the problems I always had over time was FOMO, the fear of missing out. And that was just stressing myself out and forcing me to take a lot of bad trades. So I had to realize that this helped me realize where I'm at in life, and not to really force this issue when I'm not able to trade like I want to do. So as far as planning goes, my plan is really I slowed down the trading. I watch the markets at night. I watch a lot of I went through a whole book, I think I said, and I watch a lot of patterns, and I'm looking at the patterns we're trading and knowing the entries and exits and the symbols, setting up my systems properly. I'm funding my account so that I'm able to trade when I have some time available. And I'm watching the nightly podcasts. And yeah, I agree that the swing system really seems applicable for my situation. So I'm watching that a lot more. Unfortunately, I did watch Tesla, and maybe because it was just the way it happened, but because of my situation, I didn't get in. But it would have been a great trade for Friday, even the day before. So I'm still working on some things and getting more comfortable in the lifestyle I'm at right now, and following the system. I know it takes a lot of. I mean, trading Ken's system. It looks easy. I think Kyun said before, it looks easy, but when you're in it, it's different because you're living it. And so, like, knowing how I reacted before and watching Ken and learning from him over these months, it's hard to believe this class has been from June, but it's amazing where we're at. I think I developed a lot of. I think I developed during this time frame. I got more consistent. I'm staying with the system, and I'm learning about myself and planning and trying to be prepared for the next situation that comes up. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Aho.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to run over to soccer. I'll get this published and posted, and the note sheets and everything. I would just say I think this is a pretty good model for going ahead. Is you guys have works in progress. I'm going to go around the horn one more time. Pick a word for the week ahead. Use that kind of as your anchor. and then your work in progress plus your anchor and reflections, and then scan your notes, and you'll know what the right thing to think about is, and get the most significant story of your work in progress each week, and then it's not even so much what you bring each week in your true story, it's the fact that you prepared one, which is what causes you to have done the reflection, to empty your bowl and clean the garage and ready to receive the next shipment. You gotta clear the floor, as we say in the warehouse, and that's what the act of preparing your true story does. And then it's the commitment to showing up and doing the work that makes a difference. So let's proceed kind of on that path, and I will see you guys next week. I'm going to hit the tones real quick for the word for the week, and then we'll do our checkouts. So here we go. Junlong,
Please.
faith.
Thank you, Ernie.
Tom,
Plan.
Ernie,
I'm gonna change from stupid to persevere.
thank you. Dan,
Chat GPT.
mine is transmission. All right, guys. I'm gonna leave the room open for you if you need it, but I got to get ready to run over to the soccer camp and get things ready, and then get ready to watch the Chiefs crush the Bengals. I don't care if we crush them. I just want to beat them. So take good care, guys.
All right, thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ernie, and everyone. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, that